Hi Pisces, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carol and this is going to be a mid-month check-in for July 2025. I'm going to be using the Ehrenberg Tarot and also clarifying with the Radiant Rider-Waite. And I'm going to be looking at a pattern in particular that is showing up for healing right now in your life. And very important to look at patterns on our healing journey, because when we start to notice that things are happening over and over, and we're attracting the same people over and over, situations, you know, emotions are coming up again around a certain situation. It's like, I thought I dealt with that already. Sometimes we have to go a bit deeper. And so this pattern that's showing up for you, the end of July, is definitely here for you to look at because it needs healing. And so I'm going to ask for a card for the pattern first of all, and then I'm going to ask for a card for what needs healing. And that's what's going to what's sitting in your shadow. It's going to be what's sitting in your unconscious that you're not aware of. And believe it or not, your unconscious is what manifests this pattern that's showing up right now for you, because there's something in your shadow that needs healing. It's coming up for you to heal. And that's the way that the universe starts to, you know, show us what needs healing. A lot of people will say on this journey, when they do shadow work, it's like, I don't know where to start. Well, look at your triggers, or look at, you know, your patterns. They're a big clue as to what needs healing. And so let's begin, and then finally I'll ask for some advice from the tarot for you as to how you can begin to heal this, okay? So let's start off with what pattern in your life is showing up for Pisces this month, the end of the month, the end of July. One card, please. There we go. We have the Queen of Wands in reverse. What aspect from Pisces shadow is driving this pattern? And your shadow is, you know, your childhood, your adolescence, things you put away that people told you. 9 of Cups. It's interesting that's card showing up already in the shadow. What in someone else's reading? What advice does the tarot have for you to begin to heal this pattern? You know, we're just beginning to heal this. I'm not giving you any miracle drug that's going to happen. It's a journey. It's all a process. The 6 of Swords. Right, let's clarify. Tell me some more about the Queen of Wands. A couple cards to clarify for Pisces. Queen of Wands. Whoa, way too many. I'll take that one because it came out first. But, I'm not sure about this. I'm hot in here. Okay, one more. I don't always do mid-month readings, but I decided to do them, and especially in the summer when it's really hot and this room is not air conditioned. All right, one more here. There we go. Hopefully I'll make it through. Okay, so you have the World card, and then you have the Devil in reverse. And the World card's in reverse as well, underneath the Queen of Wands. The 9 of Cups, couple cards for that. Couple clarifiers. There's one. I want to say that this card wants to make it out, so I'm going to take it. I don't always take it, but King of Pentacles in reverse. And then you have the Wheel of Fortune. 6 of Swords. Couple cards. There's one. There we go. So you have the Hermit card in reverse, and sideways you get the 5 of Wands. Sideways, okay. So let's begin with pattern that's showing up for you, Pisces. We start with the Queen of Wands, and the Queen in my deck represents the feminine side to us. We all have a feminine side. We all have a masculine side. Masculine side is our ego self. It did not, oh, you do, here it is. You do have it. I was like, I don't see it. I was looking for another king, for a king, and so you have it in your shadow. So the ego is the king is our ego self. We'll talk about a bit more, and this is the Queen, who is the feminine side to us, and it's all those feminine qualities that have been buried for years, and are coming back. And this particular quality is the Queen of Wand, because the wand represents our creative purpose, and the feminine side of us is all about creativity. It does not have to be something big. It does not have to be the normal, or the sense of the word creativity that we think of, that learning to play an instrument or write a book, or it could be, but it could just be you deciding to do something that's kind of against what the norm. People would kind of look at you and go, what are you doing that for? What's she doing that for? What's he doing that for? Something like that. Or it's putting yourself first. This is in reverse here, because I think, it could mean there's a real resistance on your part to putting yourself first, to going into doing this next step for yourself. And you could be feeling like a little bit of ungrounded anger sometimes, or even like hopelessness, because there's something maybe you wanted to do, and there's a next step that you need to do maybe, and it's coming up again, it, and because this is a pattern, right? And this is about taking the next step for ourselves, whatever that means for you. It's a general reading, but I can see that because it's in reverse, that's where this hopelessness may come from, this ungrounded anger, especially if it's been coming up and it gets pushed back down, comes up and pushed back down. And the World card is in reverse because there's been, I think, some closure that's been needed around this, whatever the situation is right here, what is next step or what you want to do. There's a need for closure, but it's in reverse because you have been on this kind of like, okay, it comes up and it gets pushed down, it comes up, gets pushed down, and then you have the Devil in reverse, and the Devil talks about things that we're attached to. And I think for a long time you have been maybe using the Devil talks about anything that we're attached to. And so it talks about our addictions, things that we use to push things down, to push our pain away, things that we use to numb out, distract ourselves, right? Keep ourselves dissociated so that we don't deal with whatever this is that we need to do. And so, and that's why the World card is in reverse, because if we continue to distract ourselves and numb ourselves out, not deal with what it is that we need to deal with in order to take this next step for ourselves, then, we don't take that next step. And that World card kind of says there's no closure that happens here. So there's some real closure here that you need to get to. And I know I'm not here to talk about your addiction or what it is, or because I'm very, very much, I can go in and out of my addictions as well. And oftentimes when, one isn't working anymore, and maybe that's the situation you're in right now where, you're realizing that these, there's only so many addictions I can have. And sometimes we can have a main addiction and it just kind of wears off. And it's like, I remember saying in one reading for July, it's just like at a given point in time, it was like I'm an overeater. That's my big addiction. I have others, but it was like there was only so much food in this world, and there wasn't enough food in the world for me to numb what it was that, you know, this pain that was coming up. And maybe that's where you've hit a wall here with your addiction. It's like, it's not working anymore, right? Because it keeps on coming up. No matter how much I try with numbing myself out, it's just not working anymore. And so that's the pattern that's showing up for you again. And let's look at what needs healing around this. And that's what's important. Otherwise, it's just going to keep on coming up. Well, you start off with the 9 of Cups. And this deck is, I like this deck. It takes a snapshot of the Rider-Waite deck. And so the 9 of Cups in that deck speaks about this individual that has planted himself with his arms like this and crossed in front of puts all his 9 of Cups up on like a trophy stand, right? Well, there are 10 of Cups. There's 10 of them in a cycle in the pip cards for the 10 of Cups, the Cup suits. And he's decided at the 9 of Cups that he's not going to feel anymore. He's done with feeling, or maybe he's finished, right? And so this is in your shadow, though. This is when you were younger. And it could be when you're very young, could be when you were an adolescent, where there came a time when you decided that you weren't going to feel anymore. Because it wasn't safe for you. You learned at a young age that it wasn't safe for you to feel all your emotions. Maybe certain ones, but you just you shut down and you went, I'm not in a safe environment to feel these emotions. It's very, very important, and I know I have to say this because the 6 of Swords is coming up here for advice from the tarot, but it's very, very important when you're younger, and even now, to be in a very safe environment so that you can feel emotions. Because if you're not validated, if you're not supported, and you don't feel like it's a safe place when you're younger, even now, you won't feel. You will keep your emotions pushed down. That's why on this healing journey, it's very important that we're in a safe place so that we can heal. And so you learned when you were younger that it wasn't safe for you to feel. And the King of Pentacles came out when you were younger. And the King of Pentacles speaks about, again, I talked about the Queen, and now I'm talking about the King. And the King is our masculine side, our ego self. When you were younger, your ego came out, and he's the King of Pentacles. The Pentacles is all about being grounded in our body. It's the earth element. The pentacle itself is our body. And so when you were younger and something happened to you, trauma, incidents, or, things where you're not supported when you're younger for your emotions and being able to feel. That's traumatic for a child. And so if things happen when you're younger and you're not supported, those are big emotions to try to feel on our own. And so that's when our ego self kicks in when we're younger. It's a very protective part. It tries to keep us safe in an environment where we're not safe. And it will pull you out of your body, because in your body is where all your emotions are. And so when you're younger, you can't stay in your body. It's just not possible. And so your ego self will pull you in your head and keep you up there, because that's where it's safe. There's no emotions up there. And so you learned when you were younger to get out of your body and to go up in your head and stay there and not feel. And I think now you numb, and I'm just going to block this, right? And now that's why you numb your emotions, because you learned when you were younger, don't go there. Don't feel those. They're not safe. But you're an adult now. And that's what your ego doesn't know. It just remembers things from the past. And the next card is the Wheel of Fortune that comes out when your ego self came out and pulled you out of your body, put you in your head and said, this isn't a safe place. Well, Wheel of Fortune come out, and this represents, a life change of circumstance. There is something that happened to you that changed your life, that caused your ego self to take you out of your body and into your head. So there is something that changed, that whole ability of yours, or to be able to feel all of your emotions, right? This individual at 9 of Cups stops and says, I'm done with emotions. I don't want to feel anymore. And so that's what happened to you when you were younger. You were in a place where you weren't safe and you couldn't feel. And right now, you may be continuing to numb yourself out because you know that you're not allowed to feel these. And then what's really important is this next card that comes out, the Six of Swords, because this is the advice from the tarot. And so Pisces, it's really important that I say this to you right now. I want to ask you if you're in a safe place, because this card right here is my card of safety. This is this mother and child that are being taken somewhere else, where there's smoother waters, right? You can see this, the moon card right here, where there's just better place ahead, smoother waters. And so I need to ask you, the tarot says, are you safe? If you're not, you need to get yourself to a safe place. If you're not safe when you're younger, if you weren't in a safe place, oftentimes we can repeat that pattern and think that we are with someone who actually is protecting us. And we can convince ourselves, or should I say our ego self can convince us that where we are with this person we're with, these people that we're surrounded by, are safe for us. And so you really have to look at that Six of Swords and say, am I safe? Am I safe right now? Because I don't feel safe enough maybe to feel these emotions that I need to feel when I'm younger. The Hermit card comes next. And the reason why you have to ask yourself if you're in a safe place is because there is some inner healing that needs to take place here. The Hermit card speaks of this individual that is going to do the, is going to shine a light, shine a lantern on his shadow. So this is a card about going inwards and doing some shadow work. There is some healing. There is some inner work that needs to be done here. But there is a resistance on your part to going there and doing it, because I don't think you feel safe enough where you are. Five of Wands comes out as the last card, and it's the final card in the deck. And the Five of Wands is a card in an upright position that talks about these individuals that look like they're having a battle of the wands. And what it is they're I call this the battle of the ego sometimes, where they're just judging each other, feeling less than. And maybe you're like that, where you really feel like, you can look at other people and judge yourself and just feel like you're not good enough. I call this also my inner critic card. That one card where you can look in the mirror and just say some horrible things to yourself, where you have this internalized anger, maybe from when you were younger, this anger of not being able to feel maybe your anger when you were younger, right? There's some things that happened to you. There's a lot of anger here that's buried. And this card, this inner critic that we have, where we constantly are talking down to ourselves, it prevents you, Pisces, from doing the next thing, taking that next step for yourself, doing what you want, going towards your authenticity, and healing some of this big emotions that are coming up for you. So there's a lot in this reading for you, Pisces, that you need to think about. Maybe it resonated with you. I'm going to leave your July 2025 reading that I did for you. I want you to have compassion for what you're working through. This is a very difficult journey, your healing journey, but it's the most important one. So take care, and I'll talk to you in August. Bye-bye.